apologies for that. We had a mess up this morning. We were actually talking to ourselves and didn't realize we had some people waiting for us on the other side. Apologies. Really, really sorry about that. And thanks to those who contacted us. Okay, we thought we had gone live and we just carried on. All right, so with you here today is Chidi Akunna and my lovely husband, Victor Akunna. All right, at Foundation for Family Affairs, our mission is to connect hearts and raise healthy families. And we're loving the transformation we're seeing in the lives of people, okay, as we go on this. We have put this together, Intimacy Overflow. Yes, overflow. It can actually run over. And this is for anyone who is sitting there thinking, oh, okay, I think we're not quite at it yet. So we would like to, at least experience this. Or for people who are there feeling like we have it, but hey, we can have some more until it overflows. All right. Like they would always say, the enemy of great is good. The enemy of great is good. So do you want to say something before we talk to our audience?
Yes, I'm so excited that you guys are joining us. This topic is so important. And she mentioned who this program is for. One other person would like to add is, you feel that you are growing apart from your spouse. You feel that everything you've done seems not to be working. This session is for you. You want to understand how to create that bubble, that excitement, that gist that you used to have about your spouse. This is what this session is about. So intimacy overflow is so critical in every relationship because there are many counseling sessions that will not hold if couples are intimate, if they are able to nurture and build an intimate relationship. That's so powerful. There are many sessions there are many issues and disagreements and conflict that couples are experiencing at the moment that will not be necessary if couples are connected, because intimacy is that point where you are able to create that safe space for people to really connect with each other and be the best version of themselves. Your spouse to say, I want to be myself. That is what this session is about. How do you create that place where your spouse can be the best version of who they are meant to be? That is what intimacy is about. Intimacy is so powerful that it can really, really, really address a lot of the conflicts ahead of time. Many financial issues, many disagreement around parenting is because intimacy is not right. It's not quite what it's supposed to be in the relationship. And that's what we want to talk about today.
You are overflowing already. Hey, but then before then, let me acknowledge lovely people who have joined us. We have relationship builders firm saying, hello, people. We have Maria Iyeke saying, hello. Thank you for joining us. Relationship Builders Forum saying, looking forward to this conversation. Hey, we are so excited about this as well. And this is maybe because we know what couples stand to achieve when they get to that point where they're really, truly intimate. Okay, but while you kind of touched a bit on what we have for them, what intimacy is. That's what we'll be starting with. But I must put forward our definition, if you would permit me. Okay, so intimacy is a state of emotional safety, which creates the ambience for deep and meaningful connection, vulnerability, disclosure, and the development of a common history and rhythm. I know we've packed a lot in there, right? The state of emotional safety. We joined in our relationship builders firm this morning on their show. Nice show, by the way. We enjoyed it. Okay, and they were talking about emotional safety, right? If the atmosphere, if you've not created an ambience for your spouse to feel safe to disclose, then we have a problem. All right. We'll be looking at it in more detail as we go on. Okay, but then there must be that ambience for deep and meaningful connection. You can have that connection, but how deep is it? How deep is your connection with your spouse? How deep is your connection with your spouse? Do you want to say something? Give us a more personal context to intimacy.
Thank you. Intimacy is such a brilliant concept. It's something that you cannot even articulate. People need to experience it. is that point of vulnerability, is the deepest level of vulnerability, where you create that safe place, where you bring your spouse into that part of your life, into that part of your heart that nobody else, I mean, no other relationship has that access except God, of course, all right, has access to that part of your life, where you bring someone that you absolutely trust and you find dependable. That is what intimacy is about. So it requires a deep level of knowing of your spouse, where your spouse can see you worth and all, see your good part, see your ugly part, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you still feel safe in their presence. That is what intimacy is about. So intimacy is that granting someone access, preferably your spouse, granting your spouse access into that part of your life that nobody else has access to. All right, that's what intimacy is about. Deep level of emotional safety to be able to share, what makes you feel thick, what scares you, your aspiration, your dreams, your past failures, the past errors, and you still feel safe. That is what intimacy is about. It's the highest level of sharing that can ever exist.
Ooh, I love that. Highest level of sharing. Highest level of sharing. I think I heard this yesterday, and someone was talking and saying, I can share everything else with everyone, but there must be something I can share with everyone, but there's always something left which I can't share with others, with my spouse. Highest level of sharing. All right, so we're gonna go on. Relationship builder firm says, loving the vibes, loving the vibes. Let's feel you, people. Thank you. So, why is intimacy important to you?
Fantastic. Intimacy is so important, right? Because, like I said during the introductory session, there are many conflicts that couples will not experience. There are many things that people will not go through if intimacy has been resolved. All right. So intimacy is so important because it helps. Okay, one of the things that people say is that two shall become one, and they are able to achieve greater things because of synergy, because of the synergy that they share. So one of the things that intimacy is, one of the reasons why intimacy is important to me as a person is because it helps me to be able to harness the beauty and the talent of my skills, all right, and that of my spouse to be able to achieve greater goals. I have seen speed in the journey of my life because I'm in sync with my spouse. I've seen massive speed. I've seen massive help. I've seen massive results in my career, in ministry, in the thing that I do, because I'm in sync. That's one of the reasons why intimacy is important to me. Do you want to tell us why intimacy is important to you as well? And then we'll look at some other points.
Someone just accused me of putting you on the spot, but that's fine. Okay. All right. So, for me personally, it helps me enjoy deeper connection with you, and I love that. All right. It's the purest form of authenticity because I am really authentic. I can truly say what I feel and how I feel. I mean, I don't have to second guess it. I don't have to think twice about it. It's so beautiful, really beautiful. I love that. And in saying that, you then know that it gives me a lot of peace of mind, right? Which now involves my well-being. People don't know the cost of a bad marriage. People don't know the cost of it. If we know how expensive a bad marriage is, then we would want to aspire towards being more intimate with our spouses. Okay, someone was speaking the other day and said, hey, divorce is really expensive. It is expensive, but then intimacy is priceless. Intimacy is priceless. I love it. Okay. Another thing, why intimacy is important to me is it helps us buffer stress. All right. Knowing when I'm stressed up or when we have a challenge, just knowing that I can do it with you. You're there. You're giving me the emotional support. You're there. It just makes life easier. So I'm not that stressed out. Okay, and like you pointed out, it helps with conflict resolution, but then it also helps with our parenting. Many times we catch our son watching us, and he just gives you that stare. He's looking at you and wondering what is he thinking. So you can imagine where we see this happen when, because parents are not in talking terms, children are left at school till late. Why? Because one parent is running late, and because they're not in talking terms, does not tell the other parent, hey, I won't be, I'm stuck and I can't, I won't be there on time to pick the children. And then the children suffer for it. So it affects your parenting. Intimacy is really, really important. You want to say something? Have we lost you? Okay.
Okay, and let me just quickly add a few thoughts. Another thing is that it helps to create innovative ideas. See, there is nothing as horrible as working in a toxic place. If you've ever worked in a toxic company, you have an understanding of what I'm trying to say. All right. It's very important that after you work so hard at home, you come home to a peaceful place. Very horrible to be in a place where there is no connection. It stifles ideas. All right. It helps innovative thinking. It helps to manage conflicts. Another thing is that it helps couples to weather storms. I mean, we have gone through storms in our lives. We've gone through financial storms. There was a time we were waiting for a child for almost 8 years. If we did not have in team some level of connection, some level of deep, intimate connections, it will have been a challenging season for us. Very challenging. So a lot of people abandon their marriage when the going is tough. It's because the intimacy was suffering. It doesn't matter what is happening out there. It doesn't matter what people are saying to you. As long as you and your spouse, you are connected and you guys are on it together, you guys got each other's back. Very difficult for anybody to penetrate that kind of marriage. And that's one of the benefits. Lastly, I like to say it helps with mental health. All right. To have the peace of mind to know that there is one person in this world that no matter what happens, will never leave you or abandon you. I'm telling you, that knowledge is gold. It's priceless. Priceless.
Awesome.
I'll let you go.
Awesome. Okay, let's swing it. We have people chiming in though. Thank you so much, our audience. You're doing great. Let's take the next point of discussion. Why do you think some couples are afraid of intimacy? Because we've seen this. There are people who honestly tell you they would like it, they appreciate the concept, they like the idea, but they're afraid. They're afraid to get themselves to a vulnerable state. Why is that?
Sometimes there is something called intimacy anorexia, where people find it really difficult to connect. So sometimes it's a medical challenge, all right, where they find it difficult to connect because of some traumatic experiences in the past. All right, that's one reason. Another reason is that some people have learned via true experience not to be vulnerable, because everything they've shared with their spouse has used them against him or her. All right. So, for example, you share something with your spouse of an error you made while you were much younger, and your spouse uses it to talk to you. So let's say you made a financial mistake that set you back about 3 years, and then something about money, an argument about money ensues in your relationship, and your spouse pulls that as a sword to stab you in the back. People can learn by experience not to be vulnerable, not to be intimate, because they feel that being intimate with this person is going to cause me pain. Another reason is because people feel that they are going to lose control. They are used to predicting their environment. They are used to controlling things. Okay, I want to get this book done. I want to get that done. But now you are falling in love with somebody else. You have to be vulnerable. So that fear of losing control makes some people, even though they are in a relationship, but they are still guarding a part of themselves to feel like, I don't want to lose control. All right, because vulnerability requires you surrendering, losing control. And those are some of the points. Okay. I don't know whether you have one or two things to add to that.
Yes. But before then, Relationship Builders Forum said they are scared because there's no trust. They don't feel safe. That's a valid point, because there's no trust, so they don't feel safe. Okay, why are people afraid of intimacy? So, just because you touched on the point about losing what was it you said again? Losing control.
Yeah, losing control.
Yes, losing control. Now that just brings to mind, I think I would go the opposite way, which would be the fear of engulfment. The fear of engulfment. There are people who are afraid of being controlled or losing themselves. And this came up in a discussion I had with a group yesterday. And one of the ladies had this concern. And really, really palpable. You could feel the fear, all right? The fear of getting into a relationship and losing themselves. And sometimes just because of the examples they've seen around them. They probably have seen, like for the lady, maybe a male figure who was so domineering and more or less overshadowed the other, that the other didn't have time to live her life. Okay, and then another point which you talked a bit about childhood experience, what people may have seen growing up. All right, so there's that fear of rejection, fear of actually when people have gone through a lot of emotional pain, right? We don't understand the impact of this, the extent of it. Only people who have gone through it can tell you, right? So there's that fear of abandonment, like what if I get into a relationship, or what if get some who are even married are still there thinking, what if he just gets up and leaves tomorrow? If he leaves, what's going to happen? Okay, viewers, let me know if you can still hear me. I think I'm still good, right? But what if he gets up and leaves tomorrow? What would be my fate? So there are people who have this as a concern, and that just keeps them from wanting to open up. Why would I open up? Why would I reveal myself to him, and then tomorrow something happens and he's gone with my secret? He's just off, So a lot of people have that concern as well, and we have seen this do a lot of damage to marriages. Not until people get to that point where they're not scared of anything. We're talking about vulnerability, in a place of safety, emotional safety, where you're not suspecting, like they talked about the lack of trust. There's no suspicion, right? Then we know we're in for a great ride. Yes, we lost you for a bit, but you're welcome back. Thank you. Yeah. So, okay, you can hear me. I would throw a question to you, right? We've just dealt with why some people may be scared.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on. Have we lost you again?
Okay, I was going to add to it to say sometimes people, yes, no, I'm here. People are afraid of their spouses not reciprocating. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, they're afraid that their spouse may not reciprocate. So they are waiting for their spouse to demonstrate intimacy before they demonstrate intimacy, because they don't want to be fooled. They've probably been in a relationship in the past that everybody blamed them to say that you were always loving and giving, and unconsciously not understanding the other elements that played out that created that negative relationship that he or she had in the past. The person can come to that decision to say, going forward, I am not going to love any other person. If they are not going to love me, I am not going to share. And so they withhold a part of themselves. They withhold access to their hearts. And so they are unable to be able to love. Sometimes people who move around a lot. So maybe people whose parents were.
Oh no. Okay. We'll let him come back, okay? But thank you, Bukola Jolubo. She said it could be as a result of past experience. Yes, things people have seen growing up. One point while he was speaking, one point I thought that came to mind, which I think I should share. Bear with me 1 minute. One point I thought I would share is social phobia. social phobia. We see this sometimes where, technology is helping us these days. With the use of technology, if time is not taken, if people are not intentional, they will begin to lose connection with people, real connection. So social phobia is where you see people, they might even have tens of thousands of followers on social media, but they fear connecting with people one-on-one. And when people are that scared, it could do a lot of damage to relationship. Imagine that being the case in a marriage, when people don't deal with social phobia as singles, and then they get into marriage with that. It could affect how much they begin to disclose, because we talked about disclosure. All right, you can't be intimate without disclosure. It then begins to affect how much they disclose. So social phobia. We lost you for a bit. Welcome back. Network needs to behave itself. Do you want to give us the last point you were talking about? Yay. Okay. So I'll just carry on then. Apologies for that, everyone. Sometimes network has a mind of its own. So the next thing we were going to talk about was, what do couples do that ruin intimacy? What is it couples do that ruin intimacy? Relationship builders program, beg your pardon, relationship builders talked about one of it when they said lack of trust. Lack of trust. Sometimes this is as a result of past experience, yes, in the relationship or even prior to the marriage, right? Or sometimes maybe the introduction of an ex. An ex has just come on the peak, come in, and there's just been a new connection with that ex, and then we see this begin to affect the relationship. So the lack of trust. Another one which I think is really crucial is nitpicking. Nitpicking. When people begin to get so fussy, you're picking on little things, you're so conscious, oh, and you did that, and you did this, and you did this, and oh, what is this again, and what is that again? Unconsciously, you're pushing your spouse away. People don't like being intimate like that. All right, people can't be intimate in a situation like that, because you get them on edge. They're wondering, what is it again I would do that would make you find fault? You're just finding fault with everything. All right. So another point too would be selfishness. When people are really selfish, marriage thrives on selflessness. Marriage thrives on selflessness. We can't truly be intimate if we're just out there looking after for our own needs. There's got to be, that's what marriage is really. If I'm looking out for my husband's needs and he's looking out for my needs, we have a beautiful mix there, right? At that point, it's no longer about me. It's no longer about what I can get from the relationship, but what I have to offer. So selfishness. Another thing that can ruin intimacy, hey, a big one, stress. We see this sometimes when people are worked out. And that's why we encourage from time to time that people take breaks, people look after themselves. Self-care is important. It's a big deal now, yes, especially with all we have to do, finding that time to connect, finding that time to check out on our loved ones, to find out, hey, how is it going? What's happening? Stress is really crucial. Somebody here just said comparison. Wow, I like that. Comparison. Yes, comparing our spouse with somebody else. When we begin to compare, it makes you not look at the good in your spouse. You're so focused on what the other person is doing, and you forget that there are some good attributes to the person you're living with in the house. Okay, so comparison. We're talking about things that ruin intimacy. Do you want to share some points? I've shared a few.
Yes, there are many things that ruin intimacy. Sometimes people have this thinking, some guys have this thinking that intimacy is the job of the wife. All right, so the moment I'm married, there is nothing more to work. Right? If she wants to make the home, it's the job of the woman to make the home what it is. That thinking is not a flexible thinking. It's not a thinking that accommodates to that is reflective to say, what am I doing that is poisoning this relationship? Because we often say something that it is who we are that will bring it to a relationship. You said marriage is bad. Marriage is not bad. Marriage is a perfect institution, and everything God has made is perfect. But what the experiences people have in marriage is what varies. And that those experiences are, are as a result of the elements, the personalities, our shared experiences, our belief system, our attitude that will bring it to that marriage. That's what makes it what it is. So while one person is having a beautiful, heavenly experience, some other person having hellish, it's because the individuals in that relationship is creating that kind of an atmosphere. So one of the things that's made it, I don't know if you talked about this, being selfish, where people create that atmosphere where they only think about themselves. You are, you are trying to do something that will be of that will serve yourself. You're not thinking about your spouse. You're not thinking about what your spouse wants. Basic, simple things. You're trying to watch a movie. It's only what you want that is going to go out there. You're trying to do something. Maybe you are publishing a book that both of you wrote. Only your name is there. Some little things that people do that over a period of time, people begin to build resentment towards their spouse. So it's not a single day thing. It's a gradual process. So when people see the breaking of marriage, it's not an instantaneous thing. It's cumulative effects, things that have happened over the years. Also creating an atmosphere where only one person is blossoming, one person is going to school, improving himself, and is getting all the accolades. And the wife that you married is just in the background. All right, she wants to get a job that will help her to change levels, meet some quality people. You are like, oh, how can I be sure that they're not interacting with this person? How can I be sure that your ex is not there? Excuse me. Things that will help her become a better version of herself. You feel intimidated. You barrage her until she lets go of those dreams. Those kind of atmosphere can never create intimacy, because nobody can be intimate with a monster. Nobody can be intimate with someone who feel threatened anytime they are moving up in life. We know friends that when you can't even share testimonies with them. You can't build connection with those kind of people because you have to edit what you are going to say. You can't build intimacy with someone who, anytime you point out something you're not happy about, they turn it around and make a victim. Okay, so that's a number of things that couples do intentionally through omission or commission that stifle intimacy in their relationship. And that's why we are doing this program, to point this out, just in case it's in your blind spots. All right, and if you know someone that you think would necessarily this message, share it with them, and you might be saving a marriage. When you save a marriage, you are saving a family. When you save a family, you are saving a core element of the country, because every country is, the family is the smallest unit of any nation, like we all know. Thank you.
That's awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love that. Wow. Very, very tangible points. And it's a relationship builders forum just said unhealthy criticism. I like this. They've captured it well. Unhealthy criticism, because criticism could be constructive. Okay. When it's unhealthy, it's not doing any good, right? You're just and you don't realize you're tearing down the self-esteem of the other. If we realize how much it takes to build self-esteem, then we shouldn't, if you're not going to build people up, don't tear them down. All right? Don't. All right. And so when it's someone who you live with, you have the closest connection with, I think that's really unfair, because this person has to be in the same space with you anyway. So if you're not going to leave the person better, then leave the person the way the person is. Don't tear the person down. I like that. Thank you for that. And I reacted to Obolale earlier, who said comparison. Thank you, people. We're feeling you. Thank you so much. Okay, do you want to say anything? Another big one that came to me as you were speaking was unforgiveness. What ruins intimacy? Unforgiveness. If we never get to that point where we let go of hurt and really fast, it will do a lot of damage to the relationship. You see some marriages break down, and by the time you zoom in, the problem is that there were things that they could have just forgiven. Yes, it's really difficult to forgive, But that's where we need the help of the Holy Spirit. You ask God to help you, to empower you, to give you the capacity, right, to overlook these things. And he gives his enabling ability for this. You must forgive. Marriage does not work well if they say it's a union of two good forgivers. Yeah, if I'm correct, yes, a
Absolutely.
union of two forgivers. So we must forgive. Whatever it is you have against your spouse right now, just put your hand on your heart and just ask God to help you forgive this. I know some things are really hurtful. When you think about them, they make your heart bleed, but there's no extent God cannot reach. He can reach you if you want it. So you need to open up your heart and ask him to give you the ability to forgive. And I tell you, you'll be surprised at how rejuvenating it will be to your relationship.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Sometimes people don't, because usually people say things like, it's important to have communication, to have conversation about it. I like to take it a notch higher. It is very important for us to create a safe atmosphere for our spouse to have a conversation. Because sometimes the problem is not people are not communicating. The problem is that people are not being heard. All right. Once someone wants to say something, your eye rolling, you're nasty, you are snappy. Those kind of conversations cannot hold in an atmosphere that is intimidating, in an atmosphere that is unwelcoming. All right, in an atmosphere where I know that what I'm going to say is not going to make a difference. All right, so people actually have conversations. The issue is that people don't get heard. All right, think about it. There are things you might be complaining about at work that you need this to be changed. You see that you are having conversations sometimes, but some people just think there is no budget for this. This is not priority, and so they are not listening. So conversations must be. That's why we started by talking about the emotional safety, creating an emotional safe environment where people can really have intimate conversation where people can be vulnerable, where people can, your spouse makes a mistake and they can come to you and talk to you first. Creating that kind of safe atmosphere where the spouse can be themselves. Sometimes we use this word and they sound like cliches, but they still retain their power. To be in a relationship where you can be you, oh my word, is one of the most freeing things. The genius that you see in people, those who are blossoming, is because they have, human beings are like living organisms. They are nurtured in a certain atmosphere. You see a child that is in an atmosphere of love. You see that confidence in them. Same thing for an adult. An adult is just a child and an adult. So love is a universal force that everybody responds to. Very powerful, very powerful. So I'm trying to emphasize this, that creating an intimate environment, intimate atmosphere has economic value, has emotional value, has mental value. We're talking about mental health. All right, has economic value. We see couples, we're going to talk about that when we talk about financial intimacy. Couples who work together with their finances, they achieve better and bigger goals than couples who earn more, but they are not in sync in their finances. So intimacy is not something you do as an afterthought. It's something you are intentional about. We must prioritize this. All right. I heard about a research some time ago where someone was talking about the importance of having powerful, intimate relationship, that it extends the life of people, life expectancy. So this is a serious, we should have a conference here. We should have a massive, we should have people talking about this. This thing is affecting life expectancy. Many people, I know of there's a story of someone a couple of years ago that committed suicide. He tried everything to pacify his wife. She wouldn't have it. She kept causing trouble. The guy moved out, continued until he ended his life. This is a serious matter we're talking about here. So intimacy for us, if you look at our ministry, we talk about romance, intimacy, and family. It's a core thing in what we do. because we've seen how it's transforming relationships, how it's transforming lives for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. 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 And Relationship Builders Forum said, not celebrating your spouse in secret and in public, right? Not celebrating your spouse in secret and in public. What that just tells your spouse is you don't matter. You're not important, right? On maybe your spouse's special days, you chose to do other things, okay, and not even do something, not maybe something, not big, not something big, something that makes this person realize you're really special. I celebrate you. You matter to me. You've changed my life. You add value to my life. Yes, that's really crucial. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Okay, so we want to touch on something we think is really important. What are some of the myths people have about intimacy? Because sometimes we see the word come up, and we know a lot of different people have their ideologies about intimacy. But from the definitions we've provided today, you can see that it's not the way we think it. Some people would say it's sex, it's beyond sex. Okay, so what are some of the myths? We hear some things, and we thought we should address that. Do you want to take? Do you want to take a few? Okay, okay, yeah, go on then. Go for it. Are you there? Have I lost you? Okay, so I'll take the first one. Some people, we see this where some people think if I marry my soulmate, then marriage will not require work. If I marry my soulmate, marriage will not require work. So what that means is, oh, as long as it's your soulmate, you feel this thing, it's there. You felt it before marriage. You get on into marriage, then you have a blissful ride. No, there's work required in marriage, and sometimes I think people tend to forget that well, I want to believe as you're evolving, everyone should be evolving, everyone should be growing. As you're doing that, your spouse is growing as well, your spouse is evolving. All right, so that in itself tells you that there is work to be done, because you must get to the point where you try to match the other person's growth as well. Right? One shouldn't be outgrowing the other. So that just tells you that there's work to be done. You may have married your soulmate. If you don't give it the work it requires, the discipline it requires, you get into marriage, you start talking to your spouse unhealthily, you badmouth your spouse, you will tear down the building that should be standing, right? You will break it down. So that you married your soulmate does not mean that marriage does not require work. You want to chip in?
Yes, beautifully articulated. Um, just to add a few things to that thought, is it's because intimacy is a journey. Why some people think that way, because they think the moment I hit a jackpot, that's it, I hang my boots. Intimacy is a journey, all right? It's a journey of discovery. It's a journey of opening up, because in our hearts, there are layers. All right, if you remember how they taught us in our Greek, layers of soil. In the same thing in the human heart, there are layers. There's a surface area where acquaintances get to. There is underneath it. So the deep down parts, it takes time to get in there. Some of us are not even aware, all right, that we have some thoughts, because probably some of these memories have happened long ago. All right, so intimacy is a journey. You have to keep unraveling, you have to keep chasing, you have to keep pursuing your spouse, you have to keep creating the right atmosphere. And then one day you just say, hey, there's something that happened. What happened? It's because you've unraveled that aspect. And you just say, oh, there's something that happened when I was a little girl. There's something that happened when I was a little boy. And so your spouse is knowing some things that even your own siblings are not aware of. All right? They are hearing your perspective to that same issue, even though your siblings might be there. Your own perspective, they don't know, because maybe you didn't communicate it at the time. That's one thing that intimacy is so powerful. So another myth that some people believe about intimacy is that as long as the marriage has not broken down, nobody's cheating, there is no massive drama. I mean, intimacy, things are going well. All right. That's not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily the case. All right. Because anytime you see a crack in a building, you see a crack on the bridge or anywhere, it did not happen that day. It's happened over a process of time, over a period of time. All right. So any relationship you see that just, and people, sometimes you hear some figures. You hear people are ending their relationship after 25 years. Jeff Bezos, for example, ended his marriage decades after. Bill Gates, they ended their marriage decades after. So sometimes I like the idea of celebrating 10 years in marriage, 15 years in marriage, 30 years in marriage. But what I like more is the quality of that marriage. If that marriage is being held together because of a promise that your father made to you that if you stay married, you're going to inherit this property. I shouldn't be looking at your marriage as you have a healthy marriage and say, oh, 30 years in marriage. No, it's 30 years of trying to get something. All right. If your marriage is held together because of what people will say, because of your religious beliefs, that's not marriage. All right. If your marriage is held together because of the children have not left home, that's not marriage. So I celebrate duration of marriage, but more especially I celebrate the beauty and the quality of that marriage. Is that man happy? Is that woman happy? Are they the best version of themselves? If you saw that woman 5 years ago and you see her now, has there been transformation in her lives? In her life, is he a better person? Is he more confident? Is he crushing his goals more? That is what I want to see. The seeds coming from that marriage? Are there things that people want to model themselves after? That is what I'm more interested in. All right, in as much as I respect, I'm saying that again, I respect the duration, but the quality of the marriage for me is more important than the duration. All right, so that's one myth that people have to say, as long as the thing is not falling apart, the marriage is good. We have intimacy. I mean, we are mating, I'm paying the bills. Some people have this belief system that I'm paying the bills, I'm sending my wife on holiday, she's having a blast, we're having intimacy. No. Intimacy is about connection. Intimacy is that you'll be shocked that some of your wife's friends know some things more than you don't even know, because she's connecting more with them than you, who is spending and footing all the bills. So intimacy is beyond that. It's like a child. You just keep buying gifts for your child, toys and toys and toys, but your child doesn't even know you. He doesn't know you. You don't interact with him. Once he grows up, it's out of the day, even though you spent millions trying to keep him happy. It doesn't work like that. You can't buy people's heart with money or with gifts. You can only get their attention. So very important to think about this myth. And I think another one of those myths is as long as we have a good sex, if we have good sex, intimacy is cool. Because some people think intimacy, once they mention intimacy, their mind goes to sex. All right? No. Sex is an activity that can be as a result of that you love someone or you don't love anybody. There are many people who don't even know each other and they have sex. So you can't use that as a parameter to assess how intimate you are. People can use sex to step down stress. Your boss is giving you stress. You just come home and have stress. That doesn't mean you guys don't have issues that you've not addressed. So intimacy is bigger than that. It's bigger than that. So those are some of the myths that people have. So you guys share with us. Tell us, what other myth are we getting feedback from that?
Yes, there's one on the screen.
Yes, it's for the newly married. Yes. Some people have that belief system. It's for the newly married. These guys, they are still holding each other. They are still connecting. It's because they are just 2 years in there. How many? They will ask sarcastically. Oh, you guys are how many years in marriage? Oh, 1 year. Oh. What they are not saying to you is that you are going to meet us here. No, 1,000 times no. I've seen people that are 20 years in marriage and they're having a blast. You see them, they behave like children. They behave like little girls and little boys. They are still glowing. You were wondering, man, I want a bite of that cake, whatever they are having. All right. So they are growing old, but you see that these guys are friends. They're connected. All right. Very, very critical, very important. Very important. if you have the kind of marriage that your children will grow up and say, I want that kind of marriage, girl, guy, you've done something right. That your children who see you every day, see how things are done, and they say, I want a woman like my mom. I want the kind of marriage that my parents have. You have thumbs up. If they can't see that, those who know you closely, you have a lot of work to see too. And I'm speaking to every one of us, including us. Yep.
Yes. Yes, of course, there's work to be done. Always, always. We can still get better. All right. So let's just quickly deal with this in the short time we have. What steps can couple take to improve intimacy? You know, we take people through our intimacy builder program. We counsel people. We work with other organizations on this. We get to hear a few things. So, what steps do you think couples can take towards improving intimacy?
Beautiful question. Beautiful question. Right? Because after the problems, we need to think about solution. That is something that you used to say. What is the solution? Let's focus on the solution, right? Because you can focus our creative energy, think solution. You can focus our creative energy on solving the problem. So one key thing is that the couples must be willing. They say you can take the horse to the river, you can't force it to drink. All right. You can take your spouse to a seminar, you can't force them to change their mind. All right. When the two people who are making that marriage what it is are open to learning, all right, not thinking that because my parents have a good marriage, I will have a good marriage. It is not inherited. It's not one of the assets that you inherit. You have to learn some things. All right. Because my spouse is a good man means that I will have a good marriage. It's not sexually transmitted. You have to decide. You have to own up and open up to say, what kind of marriage do I want? All right. So the first thing is the willingness. Even God cannot help people that are not willing to make a change because it doesn't override our free will. All right. The Almighty God that made anything, made everything, cannot override human will, gives us the power of choice. So we must choose to want intimacy in a marriage. Now, if in a situation whereby you've been so damaged because of your upbringing, because of your experiences, past experiences, don't make it out on your spouse. Seek help. All right. Why do I say that? I don't know why I'm using a lot of examples from agriculture today. Now, there is a soil called clay soil. It's not designed by default. It's not designed to be the best soil to grow anything substantial because of the nature of the soil, because it's highly compact, water cannot go through very well, and many other things. It does not have some kind of nutrient. So what I'm trying to say is that if your spouse does not have the mindset, the belief system, the composition that is needed to build an intimate marriage, there is nothing you're going to do. The person, as you are building, the person will be pulling it down because the person has to be fixed. All right. Some people have been going through an emotional trauma. They don't even know that they have been damaged emotionally, and they are trying to create. You can't create something like intimate marriage when you don't have the capacity to make it. So first thing first, find where you are at and get help. All right. Get counseling, go for therapy, and fix yourself. It's only healthy people that can create healthy marriages. It's only healthy people. Okay. So first thing first, where are you at? Second thing is, what kind of marriage do you want to have, want to create? Sometimes when we carry out a program, an event, and you ask the spouse, the husband, describe the picture of an ideal marriage for you. He will say something. You ask the same question to his wife. What they have talked about is completely at variance with each other. No wonder they are having issues. Can't you work together unless you agree? So the first thing first is to agree that you want to make a change. 2, get help where necessary. 3, decide where you want to go. What kind of a marriage do you want? All right. Clarify, define that marriage on an ideal day. What does that marriage look like? Then ask yourself, who do I need to become? Remember what we said, that who you are is what you bring to the relationship. If you are the kind of person who has this belief system I don't take rubbish from anybody. If you give it to me, I give it back 10. If that's your belief system, and that belief system has gotten you thus far, helped you to achieve big results in your life in terms of maybe you're a marketer, you know how to be aggressive and get your way. If you bring that kind of skill into marriage, it's going to produce a counterproductive. It will be counterproductive, right? There are skills that are very effective in the workplace that are counterproductive at home because of the nature of home. All right, home is not a place of aggression; it's a place of peace and succor. All right, so deciding who do you need to become. So if you are this kind of aggressive one who just goal oriented, just bamboozle your way through, whether people agree with you or not, that will not work at home. Okay, you have to begin to become that individual that will encourage consensus, that will not finish people's statements because you are feeling irritable, that they are too slow. You quickly say what you want to say. Is that what you mean? Okay, all right, we've heard you. You can't have that kind of disposition. So you need to ask yourself, this kind of a marriage, what kind of a father, what kind of a husband do I need to be? What kind of a wife do I need to be to create these conversations need to go on and on. Think about your spouse. What will put a smile on your spouse's face? Some people say that proximity is, what do you call it now? There's something they say that,
familiarity breeds contempt. Is that it?
Brilliant. Familiarity breeds contempt. We believe that familiarity enhances intimacy, because the more you know your spouse, you will be able to observe when they have changed levels, when their desires have changed, when their motivations have changed. So you can buy the appropriate gift or do something that they will find interesting. All right, do something that will put a smile on their face. It's because you are familiar with them. All right. I'll tell you this. Many years ago, there's a friend I have, but we attended a seminar many years ago. And then he was telling me, oh, he likes to go into customer service. He likes to set up this. He had some very beautiful ideas. Now, this was in 2003. Fast forward, 2020 or so, he reached out to me and he sent me a survey. And he said to me, please tell me, Victor, tell me, fill out this question for me. And one of the questions was, how do I perceive him? Guess what I wrote? That he likes customer service, this. So my perspective about him had not been updated. Was 2003 syllabus I was using. But hey, can I tell you, can I shock you? The guy has moved on. He's now into HR as well. I saw him on LinkedIn. So what I'm trying to say is that because we're not communicating regularly, I didn't know that he has changed his focus, his priorities. That's the same thing for marriages. When you don't connect with your spouse, you may not really know. This happens to some parents who probably they are separated or something, and then the man comes back into the life of the child and is trying to recreate those memories by buying them a gift that they used to like. And the girl is like, oh, Dad, I'm no longer 12. Because you don't communicate, no familiarity, you don't know what they need anymore. So that's one thing that is very important. Get into the space of your spouse, get to know what they like, and do them. All right, I will end here. I don't know if you have any other thing to add.
That's been phenomenal. That's been phenomenal. I wouldn't want to touch it. You've done justice to that, really. And someone here, I think this person is trying to be cheeky, and I kind of feel it's a female speaking. So take me to Bahamas so we can talk. All right. Yes, maybe alluding to communication. We need to have a chat. It's not working. Let's go and talk, but in a chilled out environment. So I think someone's craving a holiday. All right. It's been really nice. We talked about our Intimacy Builder program. We will leave the link on the description box right after now. So if you think, we talked about a lot of things, we touched different things. If you think any of what we've talked about affects you, or you just want to add some zest to your relationship, then I think it's about time we talked. Just hit the link and we'll meet you on the other side. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? We've got loads of lovely content for you. Please subscribe and turn on the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. Look out for our content every week. Every week we try to put out something there for you. Things that we know would benefit your relationship, your marriage. Okay. And to all our returning subscribers, thank you so much. And to everyone who joined us on this chat today, we are so grateful. You really made it worth the while. Someone's laughing here. Thank you. Thank you. We had a very interesting conversation. Thank you for adding your voice to the conversation. Really, really juicy content coming from you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We will have to sign out now. Any last words?
Yes, last word I want to say is that this is the month of love, and we have things scheduled for you. All right, we're going to be talking about financial intimacy. Why do couples fight about money? We're talking about sexual intimacy. Should we schedule sex, or should we make it spontaneous? There are many things we're going to be talking about. Don't miss any of these Saturdays. Same place, same time. You will see us here.
See you on the other side. Thank you for joining us. Always your girl, Chidi Akunna, and your G, Victor Akunna.
Victor Akunna.
Bye, lovely people. I forgot my music. We'll do that next time.